is more important than my evidence. If it's a choice between preserving evidence and surviving, I will choose the evidence. If it's either throw away my evidence or freeze to death, I'll end up freezing to death. Anyway, the bottles here are kind of a big thing. And there's a guy here who's got a bit of a meth addiction. So he wants them bottles, he wants them cans. He keeps Oregon clean because he's got a meth addiction. Anyway, this guy, he's quasi-homeless. He's got a mom who lives here, and he gets to eat at his mom's house. She makes sure he's fed. So the other day I was at the park, and there was a lady who was kind enough to drop off a 24-pack of water, which is pretty useful. And in order to make room for Tom, I had to pull stuff out of my vehicle and make room. One of the biggest problems is he needs to make a decision. I mean, if he's gonna go get his stuff, he needs to go get his stuff. I can't fuck around for days on end. But also, I understand his position and why it is taking so long. I mean, he don't want to deal with her. Nobody wants to deal with her. The guy with the meth addiction who goes around and gets the cans, he don't want nothing to do with her either. Most of the people around here who have met her do not want to have anything to do with her. So he was able to get himself a storage unit. He wanted to know if he could stay in my car for the night, which is fine. I let him know that Alright, so the wishy-washy thing is kind of the issue. He really does want to help her out. He doesn't want to deal with her bullshit. He wants to be done with her, but then he's a nice guy. So if she gets a hold of him and she wants help after treating him completely like shit, and he does try to help. But the issue at this point is, today I did spend quite a few hours. He was going to take a bus, and then he was going to ride with me, and then after a few hours he decided he was going to get a bus pass for the day. He did run around and do the stuff he needed to, and not only that, he brought me back dinner, or lunch, I guess, from the feed there. It was around dinner time, but it was my lunch. I was able to panhandle up enough to, at least get both of us dinner tonight at Denny's. Those of you who say Denny's is expensive, well, maybe so, but McDonald's is closed. Pretty much everything here is closed. There's not a huge population here. Although looking at the area, you'd think that there was. And that's because there's a lot of tourists. Probably 3/4 of the vehicles in this town right now are from Washington State. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Oregon vehicles, but there's a lot of Washington State vehicles. There's a lot of California vehicles. And surprisingly, there is a whole shit ton of Colorado vehicles. Anyway, he's not doing anything wrong. It is a frustrating situation for me, but it's one of those hurry up and wait things. Hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. Most people are so worried about their own situation, they don't think about the situation for the other person or the imposition it puts them in. Tom is aware. He also tries to make up for it. Most people don't do that either. Now tonight, when he was asking if he could stay the night, I don't want to have my stuff all over at his storage unit. So he's got my instruments and my 2 bags of clothes and my sleeping bag at his storage unit for right now. That way there's at least room for him in my vehicle. But I can't just keep driving around with all that stuff in there. I gotta find a place to unload it. Now, I did take a lot of time that I had really needed to spend on me to try to help him out of his situation. And he has been patient with me. A lot of people in that situation, they're antsy and they're pantsy and wanting to get something going like right this moment. Let's jump through all these hoops for them to get their stuff out of the way, and then most of the time you never see somebody again after that. If you do, it's a chance meeting and they go, "Hey, remember I was telling you about that guy from Colorado? Yeah, this is him." "Oh, you're that guy? Dude, fucking badass. Thank you. Well, you're welcome." And I don't do it for thank yous. But thank yous do make me feel better. They make me feel like it's not completely hopeless. And then not everybody's ungrateful for it. That guy who collects the cans for his addiction, all that water, I put it underneath the bench over there by the skate park. I was gone for just long enough to come get Tom and his stuff and drive back to the skate park. In that amount of time, it disappeared. And I made a video about it. Well, not about the water, but a video where I mentioned the water was missing. And one of the parents told me, he gave me a description, Alexander, and said, "Yeah, he's the one that took it." Well, I left it in a public park. He said, "You gonna call the cops for him stealing it?" I was like, "No." I left it in a public park. That's not theft. He can have it. I figured between that water and Tom, that Tom was more important, and I could come back for the water and hopefully it hadn't been taken. Well, it had been taken. But the other stuff that I had, I hid it pretty well. Now that guy who's the tweaker, pouring out all the bottles of water, and I kind of thought something like that had happened. Wasn't sure who did it, but I figured it was something like that. But at 10 cents a bottle, and that's a 24 pack of bottles of water, that's $2.40. Anyway, today I keep trying to get stuff set up so that I can take care of myself. But with Tom and his situation, of course, I do want to make sure that he is cared for because of his age. And because that lady is really taking him for all he's worth. But I took my empty bottles out that I was going to try to exchange for some cash. Well, I didn't expect another human being in my vehicle again because he had it all covered. Well, he didn't have it all covered. He came back down here and dealt with Molly some more, and it was another goddamn fiasco. One of the things that I refrain from saying, the one piece of advice that I try to refrain from giving people is don't help women. I know that's a horrible thing to say. It's also a horrible thing to have experienced. But don't help women is pretty much a universal thing. And I try not to say it because I know a lot of women that need help, but it seems to me when two men actually work together, they get quite a bit accomplished. With a man and a woman, there's that whole sex thing that boils brains. But also, you got two, guys who work together pretty decently towards a common goal. All it takes is for one of them to get drunk and horny, or for a gold digger to see that he's finally got something going on for himself. And then, of course, it goes down the tubes for both of those guys. I've known a few times where some good running businesses were run into the ground because, well, there was a guy who thought, oh, well, you know, she might actually like me for me. Well, maybe she does. But when her expectations are eating into your business, or you're spending all the business funds and eating up all the profits partying because you want to impress a girl who's addicted to partying, and that'll drive anybody to drinking. So I've known a few people that started businesses, got those businesses up and running good, and then the business got ran into the ground. It wasn't the business getting run into the ground, it was excessive spending. I know that my stepdad, Scott, he's an electrician. And I know that when my mom was pressuring him real heavy, he cut a lot of corners in his electrician's business so that he could make her happy. Well, that didn't result in her being happy. She got what she wanted temporarily, but then later on, when there's legal issues because of it, then she's telling him what a horrible person he is for doing as she said. We have so many women who create drama and bullshit, and the only way for us to get ourselves out of that unsafe situation that they have created is to speak up about it. Speak up publicly. Let people know, hey, I am overwhelmed here. I am in over my fucking head. I'm dealing with people's bias. I'm dealing with their hatred. I'm dealing with their prejudice. We're dealing with everything but the facts. Now, there's a lot of people who are dead, and I get treated like I'm some sort of a horrible person because I'm cursing. They're fucking dead, assholes. These are my loved ones, assholes. Anyway, he's got a camp that's about 25 or 26 miles away that he hasn't been to in years. And he's gonna hopefully try to get to it, and he's gonna try to set up his camp. I'm gonna try to set up my camp. Now that I have less stuff in my vehicle, I'm not nearly as frustrated with trying to give somebody a ride. What I am frustrated with is the excessive expenses of it. I mean, for him, he keeps doing the wishy-washy thing between he needs to get the hell away from her, and, you know, he's done with her, and that's going to be the end of it, and then it's, all right, well, I should probably go back. I need my this, and I need my that. Well, if you keep going back, you're eating up your time, you're eating up my time, and she is not going to be useful or helpful. He's having to sneak into the camp to grab his own stuff because he doesn't want to listen to her treating him like shit the whole time he's there. So I can't just keep parking at Fred Meyer, and I can't just wait at Fred Meyer all day for him to make a decision. I can't just sit there with his stuff next to my vehicle like I did last week because he was gonna. I'll help a guy out, but are you in or are you out? If you're getting away from that situation, good. That's my personal opinion on it, but it's just an opinion. When it all comes down to it, I still want the same thing for her that I want for him. I want them to be safe and at home. It's the same thing that I want for every human being on the planet. When I say I support soldiers going home to their families, that's not something that's exclusive to soldiers, that's for everybody. Now, with that kind of attention being brought to my vehicle, and I do make mention of it, That's not to be a dick. That's because it needs to be something where we're going to get in and out, take care of business, and be fucking done with it. If it'd take 20 minutes to go in and pack down all your shit and another 20 minutes to carry it all to my vehicle, I'm fine with that. Now that he's got a storage unit, we'll have to drop off some of my stuff at his storage unit to make room for it. And then, of course, once we've got his stuff ferried to either the storage unit or to his camp, then we can go back to the storage unit and I can unpack all of my stuff and put it back into my vehicle. And you're seeing how much work this is, right? It's a lot of effort. Now, is he a bad person for any of this? No, not even close. Not even close. There's a lot of people who did really fucked up shit. And they did really fucked up shit with malicious intent. His intent isn't malicious. You know, he wants to get that away from her, but he doesn't want her getting screwed in the process. The other thing is, she already screwed herself. You know, if she's gonna talk to people like that all the time, then yeah, I understand why nobody wants to be around her. Now, you guys want to pretend that the persona I have to put on, the person I have to be on the internet to be fucking heard, you want to pretend like that's who I am in real life. No, in real life, I understand there is frustrated shit that happens. You know, when I took my bottles today and I shoved them underneath a bush so I could make room for Tom to sit in my vehicle so that he have a place to sleep for tonight. I had to make room, and even with that, Tom wants to put a bunch of stuff on his lap. Well, if he's gonna have a bunch of stuff on his lap that's gonna be going into the shifter knob, we got to find a way to not have it in his lap. So I did make a lot more room in my car, and I just keep on removing stuff out of my vehicle. And some of that stuff is stuff that makes me money. If it gets took, I'm fucked. So, with the water being left underneath the park bench, I figured, you know what, in the least, them kids at the skate park and their parents can grab that water. It was unopened, still in the plastic, it was still unopened. But you also get to see how one person's meth addiction can fuck a lot of things up. Without that water, of course, I'm expected to buy water. Like, holy fuck, you want me to buy oxygen next? There's all this stuff that you guys bitch about. You want to bitch about how we should feel sorry for people in parts of Africa because they don't have running sewage. Or we should feel sorry for people in Africa because they live in mud huts. Bitch, you're not allowed to build a fucking mud hut here in the United States. All of the property is owned by someone else. I was born into a land where everything is owned, and it's only been getting worse. There is such a huge difference between the rich and the poor right now because we are nickel and diming the fuck out of every fucking thing. And we are victimizing the shit out of poor people. Police especially. Our number one predators are the police. Nationwide. Here in Tillamook, the cops have talked nice. There's lots of places that the cops talk nice, though. Still didn't do their jobs. I'm glad they talked nice. I'm not glad that they didn't do their jobs. Now with Tom, he's needing sleep. He's 80 years old. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's been running himself ragged. trying to get himself away from her, having anxiety over that because, oh my God, that lady is a nut. She's not delusional, though. She doesn't actually believe that she was with the CIA or the FBI. She's just trying to one-up anything that anybody else was going to say. So there's no reason for them to speak because she's one-upped everybody already. I'm used to that. When you are called mentally ill, when you're autistic, people can tell you're different and they generally don't listen to you. When you're called mentally ill, it's even worse. I want you to put yourself into a scenario here. Let's say you lost your son and you're depressed because your son died. Are you depressed for a reason? Yes, you are. Is it okay for people to treat you like shit or talk down to you or like you're an idiot because you're depressed? If someone rapes and you're depressed, should they be allowed to get away with it? Well, they can get away with it simply by calling you mentally ill, and because you're depressed, they get away with it. Or how about the rapist who rapes you and calls you mentally ill? The father who rapes you, the brother, the uncle, or even your own mother. Yeah, we've been realizing that the statistics that we had for women were based on looking the other way. People's bias. Oh, a woman could not be a predator. Why is it the highest body counts of any serial killers ever, the top 20 are all female? Also, the top 20 are literally all nurses. Jack Kevorkian got nothing on these ladies. These ladies make Jack Kevorkian look like an altar boy and a Boy Scout, all wrapped up into one. And we look away from it. We want to talk about how men are evil, men are violent, men are this, men are that. We also get to see how women with mental illnesses are given a bit different treatment, don't we? Like that lady who drowned her kids because they were boys and she didn't want them growing into men who rape people. Well, it's too bad that her parents didn't go, you know, maybe I should drown this person so they don't end up murdering children. Maybe, but that's all speculation, isn't it? If her parents would have killed her out of fear that she might become a murderer someday, she'd have never murdered her own kids. But as we all know, hindsight is 20/20. This is what it's like a lot of times helping people. Just hurry up and wait. They don't understand that you have things that you're trying to do and you're trying to get help. For them, it's a matter of getting what they want and getting out of there. But then once they get out of there, they need help again. So you're constantly helping others that are constantly in need of help. When in reality, I ain't got the time for all that. Either we work together or you're on your own. Now, why is it that I'm not giving Tom that treatment? Well, I kind of am. You know, he wants to stay in my car for a night. Hell, he can stay there for a whole week for all I care. But we have to have a safe place to do it. And if I'm spending my time and my energy losing all my stuff, because I'm having to take stuff out of my vehicle to go put it somewhere because he went and got a bunch more stuff and now he wants to ride, I'm down with that, but you can't put it all on your lap. You got to put it on top of the vehicle. Also, where I put all of my bottles, that feller who's a meth addict, he went and got them tonight. I guess he just runs around, rutting around in bushes. But again, it's something that, yeah, it's important. Water is important. Getting money is important. It's not Tom's fault that Alexander runs around and does those things. It's not Alexander's fault that some people consider that theft. It's not Alexander's fault that I was thinking that Tom is more important than making a little bit of money off of those bottles. I mean, hell, I would have just given them to Alexander earlier. So him taking them out of the bushes isn't a big thing. So why am I bringing it up and making a big old conversation about it with just one person in the conversation? Well, that's because it needs to be said. The actual experiences need to be spoken about. What it actually costs, not your opinions. See, all these folks wanted me to take the time to listen to everything they had to say and all of their problems and all of their issues, and they want help this and they want help that. And yes, absolutely. But it wasn't reciprocated. Not even when they promised it would be. I don't mind helping people, but at the same time, if somebody says they're going to help me and it ends up being a one-sided thing where I'm doing all the helping, that's not okay. Tom is not likely to be able to keep his word on what he said he'd help me with, which that's fine. Given his situation, I understand why he's not able to. I would hope that if there was a situation where I needed him to speak up that he would, but I don't know that he would. I know a lot of people who just get sick of bullshit. The biggest thing with Tom is that if he'd have been done with her the first time he said he was done with her, he'd be a lot further along. Also, for him still wanting to help her and also still wanting to get his stuff and also not wanting to get abused when he goes to get his stuff, it's eating up an awful lot of my time. But then we got to look at the indecision that he has and why he has it. It's not so much to do with her, it's got a lot more to do with his options. He's got a few more options than me because he knows more people than me and he knows the area better than me. So I'm hoping to pick his brain for his education. And the fact is, he does contribute. He contributed gas. I bought us both dinner tonight. And he bought us both dessert. It's not very often we get an actual hot meal. Now, a lot of folks want to say, oh, well, you got hot meals when you go to the church feeds and stuff. No, not so much. Lukewarm if you're lucky. Maybe there's a meal here where it's warm or hot. I'm not complaining about the meals. I'm glad to have them. But once in a while, it's nice to go in and sit down at an actual table instead of trying to find a set of steps you can sit on. Or having to eat out of your vehicle and hope you don't spill it all over yourself. Eating off of a styrofoam container that's flimsy as all fuck. A lot of folks, they say, oh, Sean, you need to just worry about you. And I see a lot of these other folks just worrying about them. But it ends up as in one-sidedness. It ends up with one person doing all the giving and another taking all the doing all the taking. Now for him and his bias with women, where he was raised to protect them, well, there's also the fact that there are men involved that are also, well, I'm worse off than she is, even with a vehicle. She actually has money coming in. I gotta sit there and hold a sign and hope people give me enough money for me to survive for the day. When I say survive, well, it's very dangerous out here. Not just here, but anywhere in the United States. We got meth heads everywhere. You guys want to point all of your issues, all of your problems, and you want to point at homeless people and blame it on them. That's just fucking crazy. It is. Anyway, it's difficult, being as there are so many women like her out here. Albeit she's really bad. I have met worse, just not in the same way. I want her to have help too, but at the same time, I don't want to be anywhere near her. I don't want to hear what she's saying. I don't want to hear what she's doing. I want nothing to do with her. And for him, going back and trying to, he was just going back to get his shit. And this is after she decided she was going to accuse him of being a thief. And then he's going back and he's trying to be as nice as he can to her. He tried giving her money for the bus so that she could actually get on the bus and do something she wanted to do. She wants him to do it all with her. And I understand that. I really do. But he can't stand to be around her that long. There's also a big difference between what it is that I'm getting frustrated about, which is people promising me they're going to help me, but they're not listening to what's going on, not even trying. They're wanting to tell me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. That's not help. How are you going to help somebody if you don't know shit about their situation? But with this lady, it's not a situation like mine. This lady wants to talk about how she was in the CIA and the FBI, and she wants everybody to shut up so she can tell her fantasy stories to us. Meanwhile, she doesn't actually believe that shit. See, this is the problem with positive versus negative attention. People need attention. We really do. We need positive attention. But you know what? We all need to be acknowledged as well. We're stuck in a world where we're not even allowed to build basic mud huts like they can in third world countries if they have access to water. For us, we're treated like monsters who are trying to destroy the planet if we go out and live in nature. That's just nuts. I do have to worry about me. I also need help. Maybe eventually someday I'll run into somebody who's willing to work together with me. Until then, it's do the best I can with what I got. I know that drama turns into trauma. Drama results in bodies. Drama results in destroyed lives. It's very traumatic having to deal with people who bring nothing but drama to your life. When you need help and they promise to help you and it's just drama. The thing with this lady, Tom shouldn't have to deal with her. It'd be nice if we could get her a ride back to Portland, but it don't seem as if she wants to do anything of the sort. I've been away from my vehicle for a bit, so I better get back to my car. Hopefully Tom's getting himself a decent amount of sleep. And I guess we're gonna there's nowhere to park. Tomorrow morning I'm gonna try to panhandle up what I can. There probably ain't a snowball's chance in hell of me making enough to pay both my insurance and my car bill, or my insurance and my phone bill. I do need to pay both. The folks who are trying to get me hooked up with one of those hobo phones, well, that's cool, and I don't mind getting a hobo phone. Someone want to help me to do that, or you just want to tell me to? I'm doing the best I can with what I got. I'm also doing my best to understand other people's limitations. Tom is 80 years old. So yeah, there are definitely things that I'm willing to do for him, even if he's not able to reciprocate. And so far, he has done what he can to try to reciprocate. And it has cost him financially, and it has cost him time as well. I'm glad to have him. I'm glad he exists. I'm glad he's alive. And okay, not Tom, of course. Tom's all right. I told him earlier he and I have the same problem. We think with our hearts when we ought to be thinking with our heads. Realistically, that lady is just nothing but bad fucking news. Having faith isn't going to change the fact that she's bad news. Also, earlier today, he did sound crazy for a few minutes because I got to talking while he was half asleep. I didn't realize he was going to sleep, and then he woke up and wanted to answer my questions, but he was pretty dazed. And if you guys go back through my videos, the ones where I'm super fucking tired, I'm the same way. Like, you'll hear me being silent for like a couple of minutes, and that's because I'm half passed out. And then I'll start talking again. Usually because I have well, he has kind of the same thing going on. Where you're almost asleep, and then you get all those thoughts at once. The things that are important and need to be taken care of. For me, the fact that Tom is here is helping me to maintain. The fact that he's not a screamy, shouty, hateful creature is very helpful and very useful to me. It's useful because it helps to ground me to be around people who are not violent and hateful. And he's not violent and hateful at all. So I'm gonna go park in another spot and hope I don't get messed with for the night. Hope I don't get towed or anything like that. Tomorrow morning he's gonna hurry up and wait because I'm gonna spend the morning trying to make enough to live on.